Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 195. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You can join us live for the conversation, join in on the fun and chaos. But if you can't join us live, that is A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you could support the show, like, share, subscriptions, reviews, whatever it is, does help us out. May seem small, but does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for that. So, first topic we're going to be talking about today is the Game Awards. Just briefly want to talk about what happened at the Game Awards, announcements, stuff like that, what I thought was really intriguing and cool, and then go over that. As of recording, it happened last Thursday. Not going to be going over the winners all that much. I know there was a podcast a week or two ago once they announced the nominees of my predictions. Not going through there in comparison oh, I got this right, I got this wrong. I'm sure I got a bunch wrong. So just so you know, if you want to take the time to do that, more power to you. But we're just going to go over mainly the announcements, see what looks cool, and go from there. But first, let's hop on the soapbox. Okay, I know a lot of people are talking about this right now, so I'm not going to get too much or go too much into it, but let the people talk, let the award winners talk, let them share, their thanks to their teams, their families, whatever it is, as obviously these games take a lot of time to make. Give them more than 90 seconds. I don't know what a good time is. I understand, you have a lot of things that are going on in the production. You got to hit time quotas, the building, rental, all that jazz. Game Awards went for about 3.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken, and that's including the pre-show. To just add 15 minutes, if you want to get crazy, go a half hour and dedicate that time to speeches, at least to have that barrier, a safe padding, if you will. I think that's manageable. Not saying everybody's got to get a crazy amount of time. Maybe a 6-minute interval of time. You get a minute to get up on the stage, do all your hugs, do your high fives, do your handshakes, whatever. Give them a minute to do that, and give them a 5-minute window for a speech. I think that's reasonable. Granted, I've never done many thank you speeches, so I don't know. But I think that seems fair. I think the biggest moment of really was right off the bat. It did seem to get lax or a little bit more lenient as the night went on in some cases. But the first award, I believe, was Best Performance from Neil Newborn, if I'm not mistaken, for Baldur's Gate. Man got up there, maybe said 2 things. The music already started. He had 90 seconds. He's talking about I don't know. It's really, really quick. Even for the Game of the Year award, they're talking about people they lost on their team, during COVID and stuff. You can't give them at least a little bit more time. So it seems like I said, a lot of people are covering this. A lot of people bigger than me, so it doesn't even matter that, I'm talking about it. Seems like Jeff has acknowledged it via his X, Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to talk or call it. We'll just have to see. Obviously, Game Awards has been more of people are here for the announcements. That's what people go for. I'm not going to lie. That's obviously why we watch it. Is ooh, what's the shiny new thing that's coming out? That's the big reason. Obviously, we also want to see these developers get rewarded. I know there's other award shows that do this much better, like a DICE Awards and others that I can't recall the names of. But if Jeff claims for this to be such a big thing for the game developer, at least try and have a little bit more balance there. I'm not saying obviously it's got to be 50-50. I understand he's got to do all these announcements. He's doing the ads, which I didn't think the ads were all that bad this year. If that's what he's doing it for, fine. But he's got to mask himself a little bit better with giving these people time, because this is a big moment for all those studios. Obviously, these awards mean a lot to them just because of the amount of people that are watching this product. It's a lot of eyes on your game. Maybe someone like me didn't know about your game and they're seeing it here for the first time, hearing, even if it's just a nominee, seeing it there, they're like, oh, maybe I should check out X, Y, Z. And then if something wins, obviously that raises the stakes even more in terms of interest of like, oh, maybe I really should check out a Baldur's Gate 3 or an Alan Wake 2 or whatever it might be. So to them, it means a lot because it is that, I guess, free advertisement. But let the people talk. It doesn't need to be 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Give them a little bit of time, say their thing, and then you can still do the rest of it. So maybe just pad a little bit extra time on there. The 15 minutes to 30 minutes I think would be safe. Like I said, I don't know what a good span of time would be for a speech. I think 6 minutes is good because, like I said, minute for them to get up there, 5 minutes to talk. That's fine. And maybe even letting people know that that's their threshold might be a good idea. Like, I don't know if it's a general like, hey, keep your acceptance speeches short because of other years in the past where people have gone over. But if you at least prepare people ahead of time, they can either know if they want to practice a speech or whatever. They could do that. It's more transparent, you know? I know what this is. You know what this is. We're all good. Hopefully we can see an improvement down the line, or this will, it's tough to say, cause a little bit more of an uptick in the other award shows, because obviously those award shows don't have the reveals in comparison to Jeff's show. So the more casual audience, and I hate using that because that's a very common term in like the wrestling topics, but obviously the person who doesn't really stay focused to these things day to day or every reveal show or whatever, like they're just here, oh, it's this time, I want to see all the shiny things, and that's fine. It's fine for them to do that, but I don't think that's going to cause them to be like, oh no, I'm actually going to watch this one too. They're there for a reason. That's fine. I don't know. I'm spinning circles here. Just give them more time. That's the only thing to chat. So let's talk about those shiny new announcements. We had a lot of announcements here, some with, follow-up content, DLC content, and then some new stuff. I will say there are only a few things personally for me that really got me excited. I didn't think this was a big reveal year, but once again, in terms of my case, I know a lot of people are excited for other stuff, which is great, and I'm happy for them. But I'm just going to quickly shout out the things that I noticed and I was like, oh, that's really intriguing. So we'll start with the pre-show. There's two big ones for me here. Windblown, a new game, seems like a roguelite with animated styled characters. Seemed really goofy at the beginning, and then it kind of went very violent. But I'm intrigued to see more of that game. Seems like top-down, similar to Hades. So looking forward to seeing more from that team there. And then last one from the pre-show is the Dave the Diver / Dredge DLC. I haven't played either of these games. I watched a lot of Dave the Diver. I've heard great things about Dredge. I just thought it was a really cool thing of the kind of crossover DLC or add-on that was happening. So that was just a fun moment of like, oh crap, they're really doing that. That's pretty neat. I lied. I do have one more that I'm slightly intrigued with the pre-show. And that'd be Pony Island 2. Didn't play the original Pony Island. I have watched the tail end of it thanks to 6-1 Indie that did a stream of it recently. But the thing I'm more intrigued with is the developer. I believe the guy's name's Daniel Mullins. He's made Inscription and obviously the original Pony Island and some others. Those games get trippy. Those games get weird in terms of like how in depth they go with like trying to break that fourth wall with their storytelling. And I think that's really neat. It makes you think, and just you don't know what kind of twists and turns you're going to be going on with that story, as it's not just as simple as the initial imagery may lead on to be. So I'm excited just to see him have fun with that and see what story he's going to tell with Pony Island 2. So yeah, look forward to that. As we go into the main show, first one that got me excited, and I think this took a lot of people by surprise, was the God of War Ragnarok DLC. As of recording, comes out Tuesday, and it's free. Another roguelite, you with Kratos, just kind of going through these areas, just beating up bad guys, beating up monsters. I assume this is going to be post-game, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers here, but you do have all the weaponry that you do get throughout the game. They were smart not to show other characters. They just showed Kratos. So I'm intrigued, to see where this fits in the storyline. If obviously it's really needed for a storyline, it could just be a fun nook of gameplay that they're doing here. But really excited because I didn't expect anything more of this game. Thought it was done. And obviously the free aspect is very nice. And along with the shadow drop of, hey, it's next week. Oh, snap. So interested to see what people think of that mode. I'm not sure if I will be diving into it myself. I got very excited for it, but it's one of those things of like, nah, I've checked, done all that game, platinumed it, whatever, moved on from it. It's not tough to get back into, but it's that mental hurdle of like diving back into it, which sounds very first world problem type thing. But I don't know if I'll be doing or taking the time to dive back into that or focusing on other things. But just a cool thing that the team did, added in there. Cool to see. I think I'm going to keep that one to the end. Jurassic Park Survival, I can't lie, that's got me a little bit intrigued. I'm not sure the full extent of this game, obviously, with it just being announced here, if it's going to be another roguelite itself, where it's like you die and then obviously start over, or how this is going to work out. If it's like a story-based game point to point, I think that has me a little bit more intrigued, but I'm not entirely sure. I wonder if anybody has more scoop on it. Like, I'm pulling up a IGN article right now. Let's see. Apparently it was a canceled action adventure game in the early 2000s. All right, well, that doesn't help me. Tell me about what this one is. La 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 la. It is not clear whether this is in fact the game brought back from the dead, or if the copyright on the name is just defunct and Saber is able to take over it. Similarly, action adventure with both stealth and action gameplay takes place on the island, just one day after the events of the original Jurassic Park, with protagonist Maya Joshi stranded on the island alone. Okay, so not much info just yet. So yeah, curious to see more about that. I've never been a big Jurassic Park fan, but I don't know. I feel that could be fun. Obviously running around, trying to hide from the dinosaurs, trying to figure out how you're going to get off the island, all that jazz. I'm just curious to see what the gameplay from point to point is of, once again, does it have the roguelite aspects, or is this a narrative story where they're following a single path, similar to like a Dead Space or a Alien Isolation type thing? Like, is it going to be that? Because that could be intriguing. So Jurassic Park Survival, I will admit, intrigued me a little bit. And then we had Black Myth Wukong. Looks amazing, looks pretty. I don't know, I'm really intrigued by that. Like, I don't know if it's Chinese folklore or Japanese folklore, and I do apologize. Let me see. Here's a link. Chinese folklore. It looked really cool, that like those fantasy elements, the folklore. I know it's based on a novel, Journey to the West. So excited for this. I thought it already came out. It feels like they've been talking about it for a while. One thing that I learned, and I'm a little concerned about, is apparently the development studio, Game Science, a little questionable on some. I guess the studio is very sexist, so have to keep an eye on that. Because that's very disheartening. Like, oh, this looks really cool. Oh wait, you're kind of assholes. Okay, great. So with a little grain of salt there, looks cool. We'll see. What was after that I saw or I noted? Suicide Squad. We talked about it on the live stream. If you guys want to catch the live reacts, the VOD should be up there still, if you're catching this when it releases. So you can check that over on Twitch. I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad. I know it's been a little bit of a hit or miss in terms of, obviously, the delay schedule, if it's a games of service thing, and obviously the third-person shooter, and all the characters kind of jumping around and doing their thing. Kind of been hit or miss, as a lot of Arkham fans and Rocksteady fans were hoping for more of an Arkham experience where it was the narrative that way. I still have faith with Rocksteady. This is the first thing they've put out, I believe, since Arkham Knight. So obviously they've been putting a lot of time into this. I still enjoy the stories that they did tell with the Arkham series, and they haven't missed yet in terms of narratives. I know a lot of people weren't a fan of Gotham Knights, but that was a different studio with WB Games. I personally liked it, but I understand where people can get the little hiccup just with how this game looks with its gameplay. But I'm looking forward to it. I will be intrigued to see how the Battle Pass system works out. They are doing post-game content. It seems like a paid Battle Pass. There will be free rewards a la a Fortnite. So that, I understand, I guess that might fit the microtransactions staple, potentially. If it's like a Fortnite or an Apex Legends where you can get enough in-game currency to then get you to the next one, I think I'd be intrigued, because then it's only a one-time investment of that first one. Obviously, if you play it enough, then you can continue playing with what you've already earned in game. And then if it's like one of those things where it's like, nah, I'm not hooked to the game, obviously you're not going to be worried about the future battle passes. So it's like, I tried it, it is what it is, you go from there. Yeah, that I can understand the concern of like how many microtransactions there will be, how the battle pass is going to work, are they going to nickel and dime us for like outfits and stuff like that. That is all fair criticism. We'll just kind of have to be a wait and see. But in terms of the game itself, I'm intrigued with the storyline. The Suicide Squad characters I'm not really super connected to. I'll probably be playing as Harley because I'm basic most of this journey, but you can swap at any point in the narrative and go through the story there. But I'm intrigued to see how Brainiac took over, how our heroes, are portrayed. This is still in the Arkham universe. I believe they said I don't remember if it's 10 years or 5 years after. I want to say 5 years after Arkham Knight. This is Kevin Conroy's last performance of Batman before his unfortunate passing. So yeah, excited to see that. If they do it like other Arkham games, just like the depth of lore and narrative that they tell, even in the side content, like that's where I learned a lot about Batman in the original Arkham Asylum. I'd be intrigued to learn more about the Suicide Squad and other aspects of the DC universe through this. So I'm looking forward to it. Right now it's coming out February 2nd. It does have 4-player co-op. It's online, and you can play cross-platform, and I believe they also have cross-progression. More characters are coming, so you have your initial 4 of Harley, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark. Shout out to Samoa Joe for voicing King Shark here. They will have extra villains, Suicide Squad members, there to be playable, but those will be afterwards. And I believe they said they're free to play. I'm going to look this up before I get in trouble. But that's nice that at least they have a plan post-launch. And I believe they also said right now it's all online that you have to play, but there will be an offline mode that's coming after launch. I know some people are like, why is that not at launch? I don't know, but at least just be happy that it's being included. It's one of those things. Sorry, just looking for the other characters. Post-game content. Updates will include new story content, playable characters, missions, gears, weapons, cosmetic items, in-game events, and more. Okay, so... Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will have regular post-launch seasonal updates, earnable at no additional cost through playing the game. Updates will include, as I listed, content, characters, missions, gear, weapons, items, in-game events, and more. So yeah, so at least you're getting some stuff for free. The Battle Pass stuff seems all cosmetic, and that will be post stuff, or that will cost some money other than the free tiers. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward mainly to the story, but yeah. Final Fantasy Rebirth. Well, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I haven't played through all of Final Fantasy VII Remake, nor the original. I know. But I'm still looking forward to it. I know a lot of people are excited for this game. It looks great. We get to see Vincent. Get to see him. Get to see 13. We got Sid for the first time in this reveal. Apparently there's a scene that is alluding to something that happened to the original game that a lot of players are curious if that changes. Or how that's going to play out. So that's definitely a big one on my list that I need to play Remake so I can get ready for this along with Integrate. But excited for it just because all the hype around it and the general mass is talking about it. So it looks great. Looking forward to that. Then we got the surprise of the night. Marvel's Blade coming to Xbox consoles. Very short teaser, nothing gameplay wise. We don't know anything of story. We just get the reveal that Arcane Studios, the studios that worked on Deathloop, are working on this along with other projects. Very cool. Did not expect this at all, along with a lot of people. So cool to see that announced. Excited for the Xbox, folks over there, because that's a reason I've kind of gravitated away from Xbox. Personally, there's been nothing calling out to me in terms of exclusives, but this is something that's definitely like, ooh, on the radar now. Will I make the jump to Xbox, at least for this? Time will tell. But yeah, Deathloop, I really enjoyed, that being the last Arcane Studio game on PlayStation before the Bethesda acquisition. So excited to see what this team does with the Blade franchise, or at least how they're going to spin it here. So yeah, just looking forward to seeing more. Fun surprise with that. I know obviously PlayStation's got a bit of Marvel stuff with Spider-Man, and then obviously Wolverine coming down the line. So cool to see Xbox get their chance to dip their toes in this. And then the last one that I had on here for myself personally, another one we only saw a really bit of a teaser trailer, no gameplay, anything like that, just cinematics, was Kamuri. So Kamuri doesn't even have a publisher yet, or like any consoles it's going to, guaranteed. It's very early in the process, but it's another one where it's taken those elements of Eastern folklore, kind of turning on its head, going the high fantasy route. It seems like it's a fast-paced action shooter type thing where you're taking out these monsters. But yeah, the art style looked great. Once again, obviously very cinematic, so hard to tell how the gameplay moments are going to be. But excited to see more of this project. That one was probably my most anticipated or biggest moment for me of what that is. And yeah, just looking forward to more of that. Obviously a lot of anime-esque references or inspiration. But yeah, look cool. Shout outs to Baldur's Gate for winning a decent chunk of the awards. They got 6 awards, and they won the big one of Game of the Year, so congrats to them. No Spider-Man awards. No, it was a stacked year. So I don't have any hostility of this should have won instead. No. Baldur's Gate obviously did really well. Alan Wake 2 did fantastic. Getting some love for some indies with Cocoon and Tachia and Sea of Stars. That's great. Yeah, a lot of great games this year. Obviously, some insane releases with some unfortunate stuff in the games industry with layoffs and stuff like that. I wish that was talked about a little bit more as well. But yeah, absolutely insane year. What are you guys interested from the Game Awards? What got announced that you're looking forward to? We are going to be doing a podcast in a few weeks with Jeff from twitch.tv/JeffReg or JeffReg Gaming on YouTube. He's going to be coming back on for our kind of yearly end of the year podcast, talk about our personal games of the year and what we're looking forward to 2024. So if you want to join us for that, just keep posted on Twitch. We can talk about the games of the future, what we're looking forward to, what we hope comes out that year, delays from this year, etc. And we'll go from there. But yeah. Moving on to topic 2, let's talk some wrestling, but we're going to keep on the game sphere. We're going to talk about WWE2K24, my hopes for that, just some changes and updates I hope the studio over at 2K does, things I want them to include. Obviously, they're fully in their development cycle now. We're expecting, if it's similar to last year and the new development cycle they're on, where they release around Mania time, so March, April, that we'll see our first trailer or teaser of 2K24 at the Royal Rumble. So as of recording, about a month and change away. So obviously, this discussion here is not going to change anything. Also, who's watching of 2K? If you are, hi, thanks for taking the time. But just some things I'm hoping to look for, or hoping they change, update for the next year's title. They've been doing a good job these past couple of years since the little bit of hiatus and taking a year off. But yeah, what can we do? Fix stuff. Now, I am going to focus mainly on GM mode because that's kind of my mode. That's where I've put a decent chunk of time, and by decent, like I think I have 127 hours in this game. Probably 90 plus of that is GM mode. So I'm going to talk about the generic game, the overall game first, and then I'm going to kind of deep dive, I say. I'm going to dive into GM mode afterwards because that's where I want to see most of my stuff. But in terms of, let's just hit the thing right off the bat. In terms of general game, my faction mode, let's talk about that. So, my faction, I talked about this last year. I think it's a fun game mode, or it can be a fun game mode. I appreciate that it's included. I'm going to get on the high horse again, or the soapbox again, like everybody. If you're going to do content in the my faction mode, you got the cards, you unlock them, you pay for them, however you're going to do them. I get it, microtransactions, hell over there. At least, these things that you're including in my faction, make them available outside of my faction, whether it's exhibition, whether it's my GM, whether it's universe mode. Make them available outside of this mode. To me, it makes absolute zero sense that you are going to keep this locked into this game mode. Now, for example, if you guys don't play WWE2K, what am I talking about? So they'll have these packs, this regular free content that they update. So every month or so, they're going to add a new pack of cards that you can try and add to your collection. So this can be based on pay-per-views. It could be based on old, events in the past that they've had. And basically all they do is, this is a different wrestler, Io Sky, Jey Uso, whatever. This is a card for that wrestler with slightly different stats that you can use in your gameplay, in your 4v4, or match types that you're using across the game mode. No big deal. Very akin to, obviously, 2K as well, but their NBA system, the My Team. You're going to build a team of basketball players, and this is the team you're going to use on the court during your play, do all your shots, fantasy style, whatever. Same aspect here. The thing that they add, or they include sometimes in these packs, is different attires and different entrances. So, for example, I don't know if I can think of one this year just because I'm poor at this at the top of my head. But I know last year they added old NXT skins. So earlier in their career of like a Rhea Ripley or a Bayley. New Day, I believe, had an earlier costume for one of their 2016 runs. I could be wrong at the date. But they'll add these alternate attires and entrances to these superstars in the My Faction mode. You buy the card or you unlock the card. You get that character for, once again, your roster to play with in the the mode itself. Cool, great, awesome, new stuff for me to play with. However, it's only in this mode. I can't take this new Xavier Woods that I unlocked and use it in Exhibition. I can't take this new and different animation of entrance and see it anywhere else. I can't use it to create a superstar. I can't use it just to play as Xavier Woods outside. It's locked in this mode. Now, the thing that's frustrating, or the biggest frustration, is all these animations of new entrants and stuff. You don't even see the entrances in my faction. They're not even there. You're just automatically in the ring. You don't see the entrances when they come out. So it's like, what's the point? You put all this work into doing the animations, doing the different sequences, whatever it is, and then it's not available over there? How the hell? What? You're doing work when not even needing to. Now, how do I know they put entrances, animations, and stuff like that? Well, thanks to the modding community and others who deep dive into the files and whatnot and try and make this available outside of the game mode. Some of them succeed, some of them do not. I don't understand. I understand why, from a business standpoint, you are doing this mode. Obviously, 2K, NBA 2K's My Team is very profitable from people buying packs and buying cards and the card lottery and all that crap. I get you want to do that in WWE. You want to build up this ecosystem of money. I get that. But it's so frustrating. And I guess you could do like, well, in NBA, if you unlock a player there, you don't use the player in the normal mode. True. That's true. So you could do that. That's a fair argument against me. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. And there's no incentive to play your mode. The cards go from year to year. If you want to make this more enticing for people who are not already playing your mode, granted, there's a lot of people playing it, so this could just be me shouting into the wind. It is. If you want to entice me to spend my time playing this mode, if you make a incentive of me to unlock something to then use also anywhere else, I'm going to be more willing to play it. But if it's just, here it is, that's what it is, I don't know. Doesn't pull people in. Are they going to listen to any feedback like this? No. Probably because they're making hand over fist money. Doesn't really matter. I will say I think it was unfortunately Greg Miller. I didn't listen to the full discussion, so I'm not going to quote him on anything or whatever. Just the overall thing, I believe, was like, WWE should go more microtransactions. Or not microtransactions, more games of service. Sorry. I think that was the argument. Once again, I didn't listen to it, so let's just leave Greg out of it. But it seems like more... I don't know how to explain it. You know what? Scratch that. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm misspeaking if I just start making stuff up. So I apologize. You can go check out that video if you'd like to. It's his changes or things he think a direction 2K should go. This mode can be fun. I would just like an incentive to play it instead of just like, we just want your money. You can obviously earn points. Not obviously. You can earn points by playing it in game, so you don't have to use your real world money. It's a very slow process. And if you're going to do that, you're going to have to dump many, many hours into this. If there was more reward for the player, I think more people would play it. And once again, just having that content outside would be another plus as well. Universe mode, I don't touch, so I'm not going to talk about that. Showcase, I haven't beaten this year, and I don't think I've beaten it the last two. No, I beat last year's. That's a me thing. I don't know. Just not that intriguing. Unlockables and that is good. I don't know. That's just a me thing where I'm like, not feeling it. My Rise, the Create a Superstar mode or Create a Wrestler thing. This is another one I haven't dived into, and I think it's just because I've been burned in the past I think I talked about this in last year's review, of doing the same match against the same person for like week after week after week after week after week. Mix it up, put some cinematics and cutscenes in there. I think they did that this year. It's just I haven't taken the time to create a wrestler and dive into it. So that's on me. I can't give them any flack for that. I think, or I do believe they put 2 like storylines in. They did a male perspective and a female perspective. One was like a second generation superstar. It was like the Lock and the Legacy, I believe. One was a second gen superstar. The other one I don't really understand or recall the gimmick. So I should give this a try. They are doing something different with the Create a Superstar. I hope they do that more. There's been a lot of good elements over the years. I think it's just a matter of plucking out the good ones. But this isn't a game mode that I dive into often, so I don't feel like I can give it too much flack or feedback. Same with the Creative Suite. I know I'm like, oh, I don't do this. Oh, I don't do this. Oh, I don't do this. Well, that's really helpful for this feedback and growth. Like I said, I was going to focus on GM mode. I just wanted to cover the grassroots stuff on the top. If we're going to talk about roster, can I just make it? Of course I can't. Of course, I download a lot of custom superstars, so I'm trying to remember like who is actually in this game, who wasn't. So let's just talk about more recent additions: a CM Punk, Alexis King, a Jade Cargill, superstars like that. Who's gonna make it? Who's not? I'm excited for Bronson Reed to finally make it into this game. He was supposed to be DLC like 2 or 3 years ago before, unfortunately, he got released. So I'm excited for him to make his debut in the game here. Punk, what's the probability of Punk being in there? Because he just showed up at Survivor Series, which is November. I think it would be silly for them not to include Punk, obviously with being a huge name, huge draw. I think they could do it in that time frame of get him in the studio, scan him, go from there. I think he'll make main game. Someone like a Lexus King, obviously not as, popular in terms of a name. I think Lexus might be more DLC focused or centric, similar to, I'm trying to think of who else in like an NXT realm has made more of a bump recently. Like a Kalani Jordan could be a DLC. Who else? Metaphor, maybe. No, I feel like they've been around. It's also tough of like knowing their time frame. Like I think it's SmackDown Hotel on Twitter /X. They do a great job of like a roster compilation. And when they talked about DLC, they listed like, oh, this person signed at this point, or they signed at this point, and like the probability of them being in there. So I feel like a Punk's got to make the main game. If it is DLC, I'm sure that's going to sell like hotcakes. What will be DLC? I'm trying to think. So this year we had 5 different packs. If I'm not mistaken, I have the game pulled up. I'm going to see if I can go to their content. So let's see. So we had Joe Gacy, we had Bray Wyatt with Uncle Howdy and Valhalla. We had Harley Race, Trick Williams, Ivy Nile, Wendy Chu, and Tony D. We had Tiffany Stratton, Pretty Deadly in the OC. Eve Torres, Wade Barrett, the Steiners, and Zeus. I think there's one more pack I'm missing out on. Of course, it's not gonna tell me. You son of a gun. Oh, here we go. Damon Kemp was in there. Nathan Frazier, Andre Chase, Blair Davenport. We had BFAB. Well, we had Hit Row. Yeah. And then you had this last or most recent one, the Bad Bunny edition, where you got the most recent Bad Bunny. Was that literally it for $10? Was just you got him? Let's see, $10. Bad Bunny Edition bonus pack includes Bad Bunny's Backlash 2023 playable character, Bad Bunny Evo My Faction card, Puerto Rican themed LWO shirt, Bad Bunny themed My Faction team customizations, and then virtual currency. Gotcha. Yeah, right. So, hit or miss on that. But, so we got a decent amount of DLC this year with the pack. You got 5, 10, like 25 superstars? Yeah, 25 superstars over the season pass. So, not bad. They also did include free DLC, or free updates rather, where they added like Candice LeRae in there, and they added Mia Yim in there, which I did really appreciate, because they did not talk about doing that. Obviously, those two were in the previous year's game, got released, but then were brought back under Triple H, and that regime. So they had all the character model stuff ready. Just nice for them to include that for free in an update. Appreciate that. And hope we see more of that. I don't know how, but maybe. We saw that, I think, in the previous year, too, with the NXT 2.0 arena. But, yeah. So, I'm not sure. You're probably going to see a mix of... Because they did, like, some legends here. They did late additions to the roster. And they did a lot of NXT guys. So, if I'm thinking NXT people, like I mentioned, Kalani Jordan's probably a safe bet. Just because she's been kind of building up. You could do a metaphor if they don't make the main game. Let's see, because I feel like there's a bunch of them that come to mind. I'm like, nah, I feel like they're gonna be in the main game. Maybe an OTM. They're a newer team. Maybe they could make it if they keep getting pushed on TV. Yeah, I don't have any decent guesses here. In terms of roster, though, there's been a lot of rumors going around that we're going to see some ECW wrestlers this year. I guess Supercard, they added a bunch recently with their most recent update. We talked about it last year of like after 23 came out, like, oh, the addition of WCW was really cool for GM mode, which I'll dip into a little bit here. Adding ECW brand, put Heyman as a general manager would be cool. If they're going to add ECW superstars like the Dudleys, and RVD is a little bit questionable just because he's in AEW now, Sandman, whoever. If they're going to put more of those guys in there, that kind of leads a little bit more into like, yeah, they are going to add ECW to GM mode. Cool. More rosters to play with there, or more teams. Or choices. That's pretty cool. I'm going to pull up Supercard right now, see if I can see who they added. News. Season 10. La 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 la. Of course you're not going to tell me. Come on, Supercard news. You can't tell me the things that I want to know. Shit. Alright, well that was... not a fruitful venture. Maybe if I search more specific, ECW. ECW Supercards. No, that's the network. There's a Reddit theme, or thread, if we trust Reddit. I don't know. But anyways, there's rumors of that. Maybe that crossover happening. If we're going to talk about real life, a recent partnership that was signed. Apparently Ken Shamrock has a deal with WWE now. So you could see maybe Shamrock being a DLC because that literally just happened. So include him in the Legends. I know Bubba Ray, or Bully Ray. The Dudleys have new merch on WWE Shop. So there's that. And then, yeah, with Rumble season rolling around, there's a lot of rumors, obviously, of like contracts coming up, who's going to be in the Rumble. If Mickie James makes a return, I could see Mickie James being a DLC. That could be not a quick turnaround, but maybe an easier turnaround for the team to do. So I don't know. Excited to see who's included. Obviously, generic roster, and who's not. One slight note. Don't be lazy, 2K, with your DLC additions from last year. I'm going to shout out Wesley right now. So Wesley was DLC in 22. Cool. Unfortunately, the MSK stuff, Nash Carter wasn't going to be in there due to reasons. Wesley comes in. He's got his MSK gear. Still, MSK music. Great. He goes solo afterwards. They change his music and changes his gear. 2K23 didn't do that. We changed his music. His gear was still said MSK on it. What are we doing? We were just lazy. We barely did anything with him. So whatever DLC we had in 23, let's just not be lazy and just keep them the same or barely change them. So like Tiffany Stratton, like her music is, even when the DLC came out, was already changed at that point. Let's make sure we're up to date with that and not just be like, oh, here she is. She's already done. Let's do something with that. Just be smart, please. And then Oh, crap. I had something else. Oh, speaking of music. Hopefully Cody Rhodes' music is in the jukebox this year. I don't know what was all the kerfuffle there, if it was because the AEW Fight Forever game or whatnot. But make sure his fucking theme's in there. If CM Punk and when CM Punk is in this game, get the new Cult of Personality in there. And Sami Zayn, they were kind enough, once again, a free update, to add into the creative suite Sami Zayn's old/current theme. They added that. And it's not in the jukebox either. I know jukebox is a very simple thing, but I want to listen to the current stuff. If you're going to add music one place, why not just add it to a different place? It's not that hard. So yeah, like I said, slight gripes with Bret. Hello. All right, let's jump into GM mode. We've waited long enough, and I've been kind of rambling long enough. So GM mode. So I absolutely love GM mode. I've loved what they've done and added to this mode over the time that obviously they introduced it in 22? Yeah, because there was no 21. Sorry. In 2K22, since they brought this mode back. They've made a lot of changes that have helped us with 23 in terms of just the player base. GM Assistant I don't use too much, but that is a nice condensed area to double check your shake-up cards and career standings and all that jazz. I do appreciate that. Shake-ups, let's talk about that first. I think this is an amazing addition. Makes it more arcadey. I appreciate the option to toggle it on or off when you're setting up the game mode itself. But it adds that flavor of spice after every pay-per-view, after every chunk of time that you're doing the game. And obviously they have different effects, if it's going to be for the season, if it's going to be instantaneous, a few weeks, whatever it is, and the scale of what they're going to do. I think this is great. One thing I would like, and this is a small thing and just more of a, I don't remember the term for it, just like something that would be a nice thing, but it's not really moving the game forward. If there was like a sheet or a tab that we could see all of the super cards. Now, I'm not saying, or the shakeups rather, not saying like have them all revealed, but as you reveal them, like bring them up and kind of fill them in this grid, I think that'd be kind of cool, so you could just see them all at the end or see what crazy ones there are, because there's a lot I feel I see and then I forget. Just kind of like some kind of encyclopedia of them would be neat. Like I said, doesn't really help the game go forward or anything like that or add to it. It's just a little thing for the players to be like, oh yeah, there's this one. Oh yeah, there's this one. Not that you're going to help your odds like trying to get any specific, but it'd be kind of neat just to have that available to you. Rosters. I do custom rosters up the wazoo. I try and keep everybody realistic, quote unquote. I haven't done like a fantasy roster of like, this is my AEW roster, my ECW roster, WCW roster, anything like that. I just do it where if it's the main roster superstars, they're in the draft. If it's NXT superstars, they are considered the local talent. If someone has gotten released or whatever, I'll put them in that local talent roster pool as well. And then same with the legends. If someone doesn't show up as much, like a Brock Lesnar or John Cena, I'll throw them in there. Or whatever. And then I'll download people from the community creations as well, just to kind of create more of a deeper roster, and then have like NXT talent who didn't make it, throw them in there. One thing I would hope for is more randomness. I know the rosters are huge, but sometimes when you see the same names over and over and over again from a year to year, it's a little frustrating because you're like, oh, I added 20 people. 2 made it, if that. So I just like a little bit more of a cycling of that talent pool that you did throw in there, whether it's legends, whether it's free agents, whatever it might be. One little bug I did notice, so they added a power card for, I think they added this, superstar training. Train one of your enhancement talent stars to become a permanent superstar for your brand. Great. You don't have to pay for them every 10 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever the contract is. You could just bump them up to be a permanent roster member. That's great. With how I play it, with just everybody's real, for some reason, the roster pool gets mixed. So you have your free agents, where it's people who maybe weren't included in the draft that are main roster or didn't get picked. They'll be included. And then you also have your local talents who will be included in here. For some reason, when you do the custom rosters, these all get mixed. If you do the default, all the made up jabronis are at the bottom of the list. That's your local guys. And then you have your real guys up top. For here, they're all mixed. And sometimes that card does not register of like, oh, that's a local talent. I should sign them. Or rather, I should make them permanent. Also, it doesn't recognize, hey, this person's already a permanent full-year superstar. For example, I know I shouted him out earlier, but in the save file that I'm looking at right now, I have Wes Lee. He was a local talent that I put because he's NXT. I signed him already to a year. It's still like, hey, do you want to use this superstar training card on him? No, bitch. He's already permanent. So it's those little hiccups there where it's like, oh, that's... I just hope they kind of figure that out. If you could make it in the free agents, like just divvy it up into little sections like, oh, this is your more main roster talent, and then these are your lower ends. Something like that. I know it seems silly, but just so there isn't a confusion of, wasting cards that are hard to get, or not hard to get, but you spend the money for week to week or earn during the challenges or whatever. Just clear that up so it's not, oh, I just wasted a card. Obviously, you should be reading before you use these things, but just so there's no mistakes, no frustrations. Kind of make it dummy proof, you know? Show logistics, I appreciate a little bit more of the, like, you don't get everything in a year. Speaking of that, the 10 seasons. Now, this I'll talk about a little bit more in depth or have a bigger point on. I appreciate what they tried to do with the 10 seasons. We're going to give you a longer game mode like you were asking for. Appreciate them doing that. Last year with 22, you had a 50-week game. That was it. After that year, you're done. It's complete. It's erased. I appreciate that they tried to make it longer if you wanted to make it longer, right? After a certain point, and this could just be me, it loses its steam. It loses its fun appeal, and I'd rather just start a new game than continue this one. And I think there's a few reasons for this. One, what we already talked about, the roster, like, changing up, the randomness of that. There's that. If I'm going to see the same names over and over and over again, it makes it less appealing. Two, they added a trophy system here. The Hall of Fame trophies, right? So you get a Hall of Fame trophy, one trophy for completing goals that the owner gives you. Complete 5 of those challenges, you get a trophy. Okay, cool. You get a trophy for having the most fans at the end of the year? No, for being in first place. So first place gets a trophy, and then no one else does. Then you can get trophies throughout at any point for having X amount of fans, X amount of money accrued or revenue for your brand. And then I think there was one more. Let me see. So you got the revenue tier, you have the fan tier, and then you have how many times you placed first. Now, at a certain point, you kind of start running away with this. Now, obviously, if you're playing human player to human player, little different. Obviously, that could be different because if people are paying attention for these trophies, then it could be more evenly ranked. In my experience playing against the computer, you can run away with this without even having the most fans. I think there needs to be some point of balancing here that keeps the chase going in a year 3, in a year 4, where it's not just like, oh, well, I'm already had 3 trophies. It's just kind of smooth sailing from here. Players want that challenge. As soon as it gets to a flat line of nothing's happening, there's no intrigue to play. It's just, oh, I'm just clicking buttons and just filling in, checking the boxes. At least with my experience, that first season is heated. The computer's getting more fans than me. I have a high budget, but I can't seem to pass this threshold. Oh, I had a great week here. Cool. How do I keep that going? I get ahead with the challenges. Cool. I caught up. The trophies were the end-all, be-all with 23. Fans don't matter anymore. Money doesn't matter anymore. There has to be some balance where all three pieces can have some sort of weight in the end. I don't know if that means like, okay, we hand out a trophy. Obviously, if you got the most fans that year, here, you get a trophy. You had the most income raised that year, here, you get a trophy. Something like that. The thing that causes it to go even, I think, uneven at the very end is the season ranked first place. Because fans don't matter until you're tied with trophy value, whoever has the most trophies, they're automatically getting rewarded an additional trophy and just building this gap in between the other players, whether it's computer or human. I think maybe that one's got to go, or at least find some way to balance it. So I like the fan tiers, I like the revenue tiers, but maybe give a reward for, oh, you had the most fans at the end, even if you were in the last place of trophies technically. You had the most fan growth, or you just had, the highest amount at the end, here's a trophy. You had the most generated cash, here's that. Whatever they need to figure out, I think that just needs a little bit of tweaking, because once that gap is made, the fun is lost because it's not close. It's just a steamroll. So something to look out for there. Selfishly, more matches. I'd like to book more than 4 a week. I don't know how you keep this nice display, and layout how they have. But we did get that upgrade in 22, where initially it was 3 matches per week, 4 matches a pay-per-view, and then they adjusted it to 4 matches a week, 5 per pay-per-view, depending on your difficulty level. That was a free thing, free adjustment. I appreciated that. Selfishly, I'd like bigger roster. I like to do more planning that out. I get it. I run into stamina problems, and that's a small issue. It is what it is. That's not a be-all, end-all. Well, none of this is a be-all, end-all. I'd still like more clarity in terms of some of the settings, like a promo skill. What determines a promo skill? Can I improve a promo skill? Something like that. Like if I keep putting them in promos, can they improve? I do know they have some of the shake-up cards that are like, oh, make all of your giants +2 mic skill, things like that. Some of these could be better explained even if you deep dive. It's just grassroots, very top layer stuff of explanation. Of course, I had something and I forgot it. Oh, okay, let's talk about the special stuff. So occasionally you'll get emails from Triple H. Hey, we have a fitness guy coming in. He can help your stamina of 1 to 2 superstars, whatever you decide. Or the movie deal. I think those are great. I think that's really cool. Add more of those if you can. Add these different mechanics in there. When a superstar gets injured, if they're out for 6 weeks and then week 6 rolls on, I'm like, oh, great, you're healthy, you're healed. They come at me and they're like, bitch, why haven't I been on the show? I hate this. I'm going to rip up my contract. See ya. And they leave. That's frustrating as all hell. I get it. They're frustrated they got hurt. But there's nothing I can do. Like, you're literally off the shelf. I can't do anything with you. I can have someone call you out in a promo, but I can't have you do a promo. I can't have you do a health spa. I could do the injury rehab card to knock down that time, but that's frustrating. There's one shake-up card that's like, don't have your superstars who are injured lose popularity. That's really good for a shake-up card. I kind of wish it would be like real life. No, someone got hurt. We build anticipation for people to make their return. It's not like, oh, who are you? usually. If someone's over, they're over. So that could be a little tweaked. I get it. That's the benefit of the shakeup card. But it is very frustrating where someone gets hurt for a big time. You can't do anything with them. And then they're supposed to make their return and then just turn and leave and quit your company. It's like, what did you want? Come on, man. So there's that. Last in terms of the surprises, like the Triple H movie deal and the Triple H stamina thing. There's one where it's like not a content creator, but an influencer. They come in and they're like, hey, you can hire me for free and I'm going to bring in fans. Great. Free superstar. I can use them, whatever. And they're going to allegedly bring in these fans. We need some layer of like telling us what this person is bringing to the table, along with some other cards. So when you're at the very end, you can see all of your match statistics. You got X amount of fans, and sometimes there's the other fan like bar part of the graphic that's like plus this many, plus this many. It would be nice to at least be able to look into that and be like, oh, you got this amount during like charity promos, which you can see, obviously. This was akin to your charity promos. This was because of your quality being better. This was because Carmelo Hayes, the influencer, he's on your brand. He was on the show. Like, it almost seems like they make no difference when you sign them. And if they are, you can't register what it is. So if they're going to keep that special thing, I think that needs a heavier impact, or at least needs a visual of like, oh, so-and-so is bringing me an extra 1,000 fans per week. Like, I need a hard number here so I know if this is worth my time to put a less popular superstar on the match card to get those bonus, whatever amount it is, or not. Is it worth your time to sign it and in that strategy? That would be nice. I think that's all I got. Like I said, there's a lot of changes that they've made even since 22 with first establishing the mode that I do appreciate. I do appreciate the different amount of budgets. I do appreciate that you can play with this with 4 players, the different brand choices that they have. I just say keep adding on top of it, similar to a lot of different games. Like, don't try not to take away from it. Just see what more layers to this cake you can add, whether it's an ECW brand, whether it's general managers, whether it's the power cards, whether it's the shakeups, whatever it is. Obviously, this team is still early in learning this, with it only being their 2nd year. Now this will be their 3rd year. I'm looking forward to seeing what they add, and it seems like they are listening to feedback. Obviously, they got the up, down, down guys have made it a huge thing for their channel, so I'm sure they're keeping in tune with what they're saying on their channels and their videos. Just more of that, please. And yeah, keep making it fun, keep making it entertaining. But yeah, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. If you guys want to catch the podcast live, you can always go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You drop a follow over there, you'll get notified when we go live, so you join in on the fun and conversation. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. You go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, like, share, subscriptions, reviews, comments, whatever it is. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow, so if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Thanks for hanging out today, for all the fun topics, the discussion. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.